Young Junk!
Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble. And as always, I'm joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
We are coming to you tonight on July 1st.
Yes, sir.
The summer days are here, and we have a knock 'em out action flick for you tonight, courtesy of Vincent, as we sit down to review Fred Williamson, Jim Brown, Jim Kelly, and Richard Roundtree in One Down, Two to Go from 1982. Vincent's selection for tonight's stop on the Micheaux Mission as we stream live from Young Chunk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace, to Instagram and all points north, south, and east and west, including YouTube, where each and every one of you are out there watching us live in the chat. Hello, missionaries.
Good evening, one and all.
Vincent, how are you doing, my friend?
I am fine. As we move into July, I feel like the summer's flying.
Yeah, man. Yeah. The world keeps turning.
That's what I hear. And yourself, how are you?
Barely. I'm doing very well. As has happened a few times here on the mission, we come to you at the start of the show with heavy hearts.
Yeah.
As the world has bid adieu to one of the great voices of soul.
Yeah, absolutely.
Walter Scott.
Yeah.
1/5 of the Whispers.
1/5?
Yeah, I thought
there were 4 Whispers.
Is
it 5?
I thought it was 5 Whispers.
Okay.
I was pretty sure it was 5.
I'm not a Whispers aficionado. I know Walter and Scotty. I know the dude.
We know Walter. We know the twin.
And that beard.
Yes.
Remember, the brother had that beard.
That's who we know.
Right. So
I believe it was, he was part of the Whispers.
But please.
Walter Scott.
Yes.
Passed away on June 26th.
Yeah.
Age of 81 years old after a battle with cancer, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. The Whispers who, and I will say, like, unapologetically, that I am not like a huge Whispers follower like yourself.
Sure.
But and they've had a lot of hits over the years.
Yeah.
Radio, what is it? Ready or Not? No, Rock Steady. That's what
Rock Steady.
Rock Steady. That's their big hit.
And then here in Philadelphia, Chocolate Girl and Olivia.
Yes.
Are always in rotation.
Very, very true. Even though my Whispers song, though, was It Just Gets Better With Time.
It's not bad. That's not a bad 80s R&B song.
Yeah, that was.
That's not bad.
I never truly locked on them.
Yeah.
But that one,
right,
it did it for me.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. I'm not a huge Whispers fan either, but like you, just part of the fabric.
Yeah.
Of your life.
Yeah.
And people love the Whispers.
Dude, the Whispers, I think, at least speaking anecdotally here in Philadelphia.
Well, go ahead, because you're going to say what I was going to say.
When the Whispers would come to town, everyone went to the Whispers.
Right.
Like, I'm not even into the Whispers, and I've seen the Whispers.
You and I had a conversation, I don't know if you remember this, a few years ago, where we bonded over the fact that we were slightly confused by how much Philadelphia loves the Whispers.
Yes.
Like everything that comes out of Philadelphia, but Philadelphia loves, and it confused me when I moved here. And you just sort of go with it. Philadelphia loves.
The twins who pretty much started it, Walter and Wallace, they were born in Texas.
Right.
You know what I mean? They were worldwide. I don't believe they were ever on Philly International.
I don't believe there is a Philadelphia connection.
Except that they did shows.
Philadelphia loves the Whispers.
They love the Whispers.
And, it's a shame.
It is a shame. So we bid adieu to Walter Scott.
Yeah.
Rest in harmony.
Yeah. I think they actually have a show coming up here in Philadelphia, and I think the show is still going to happen.
Okay.
Philadelphia must be fed.
Come on, man. Come on, that's like Maze getting up there and performing without Frankie Beverly.
I'm just saying.
We're gonna have a hologram of Walter.
Look, Philadelphia loves the Whispers. I know there was some concern about an upcoming show here in Philadelphia, and I believe the surviving Whispers are going to still perform, as far as I know. But rest in peace.
Okay.
Job well done, brother.
Job well done. Job well done. Also, before we move into the show, we, Vincent,
Yes.
by virtue of being in the media,
Oh.
somebody messed up, but we're in the media. We actually saw Jurassic World Rebirth last night.
We did.
The new film that stars Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
Mahershala Ali, directed by Gareth Evans.
Yeah.
Him of the big Godzilla film.
Yeah. And is the one dude, the guy who's going to be Lex Luthor?
Nicholas Holt.
Yeah.
He's not in it. No.
Who's that guy eating? I should
That's
probably.
Ed Skrein.
Oh, he just looks like him.
Not really, but okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
But yes, we did. Yes, we did.
There's your white guy blind
Right,
spot.
right. And what'd you think?
Of Jurassic World Rebirth? Well,
No, with marshmallows. Of course we did.
I'm about to say, true to the name, while this is a continuation of the story from the, I can't believe there's been six
Yeah.
Jurassic World movies
Yeah.
already. It's a continuation of the story. It still is a bit of a rebirth because the dinosaurs, after being out in the wild, have kind of like migrated themselves into this like center of the world that's closer to the equator, which is supposed to be closer environmentally to
What the world was like.
what the world was like.
Yeah.
So it basically is a rebirth. And this film, Missionaries, in so doing, feels like the original Jurassic World redux.
Okay.
That's almost exact with kind of like the same kind of beats, same kind of like action pieces, set pieces, same kind of like, dramatic imagery of, dinosaurs grazing and migrating across the lands.
Yeah.
And in that, I think it is a beautiful film because while there's a lot of, there aren't dinosaurs. So there's a lot of CGI.
Oh, yes.
But a lot of it was filmed on location in Thailand.
Okay.
So there is some nice scenery. But other than that,
Yeah.
I found it a bit boring.
Yeah. I thought the beat in the film that I wish they would have explored way more is that the chronology of the films is synced with actual chronology. So in the world of Jurassic Park, the film Jurassic Park came out over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But the dinosaurs have actually existed in this world for 30 years. And I thought it was an interesting speck of a plot detail that people were bored by the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And no one
yeah,
was
that
actually
is-
interested
That's a commentary.
in it. And unfortunately, you get that with this film, and I have to say, as someone who has seen all of the Jurassic Park films, and I don't really remember any of the details from any of them except the first one.
Is that the first one, which was the one that Steven Spielberg directed?
Right, but I feel like there, every couple of films there's this bit where we've got a bigger, meaner, more super duperist dinosaur.
I believe it was the Super Duperosis.
Right, and it's just like you said, you just sort of, a lot of it kind of goes through the motions. Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali do the best. They,
I almost wish that they excised their story of kind of like mercenaries out of it.
Sure.
And like there's this whole family that gets lost.
Yeah.
I wish they had just stayed on the family.
Right.
And just called this Land of the Lost.
Just how about that?
And I would have been...
Because it's so funny because there are beats in there that feel very Land of the... I was thinking...
all the way down to the boat.
I was thinking the exact
all the way down to the
same
raft
thing.
Yep.
And I was thinking, wow, there's a backdoor pilot to Land of the Lost in here somewhere. Yep. But besides that, it's our tell. Like the fact that you're sitting there thinking about other things.
Yeah, that's
so.
Like, I need to go get more pretzels.
But I guess the best thing you can say, and you and I talked about this a little bit, where I asked about Jurassic Park people, like people who are invested in this franchise. If you like Jurassic Park, this is certainly a Jurassic Park film.
And I will say that while we did go to an early screening, it was a combination of press and like the regular, audience, like some movie fans that were there. There were a fair amount of children watching the film.
Yeah.
And judging by what, just ear hustling from them, they enjoyed it.
It's so funny. We had a meeting in the house. Like, we actually had a meeting in the house about whether or not it was appropriate for Adam.
Oh, that's right, because you went with your older daughter, Camille.
Right. And he's 9. So we had a meeting.
Oh, did he want to?
Oh yeah.
I think
well, we're gonna test the waters.
Oh, whether or not it's appropriate now that you've seen it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
we're gonna test the waters with the first one, and see how he does.
Oh.
And then sort of, but like you, I did notice that the kids, and I do think there's an aspect. I think there's always been an aspect of Jurassic Park.
Certainly. Kids love dinosaurs.
Kids love dinosaurs.
My grandson loved playing with dinosaurs.
Right. So. I ain't gonna call my daughter out, but we went and saw one when she was a little younger, and I forget which one it is, where the pterodactyl comes and picks up a woman and takes her in the air and drops the woman in the plesiosaur comes out of the water, and she said, "Is that woman dead?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't know if she made it. I don't know. Maybe it's like G.I. Joe. She fell out the mouth and then the parachute flew out. Remember when G.I. Joe, no matter how ridiculous some was, they showed the parachute come out to let the kids know nobody died."
Yeah, but you look close, there was nobody on the parachute.
Right.
All right. Well, that is Jurassic World Rebirth. Check it out. It's coming to the theater near you very soon this week. I believe it opens on July 2nd.
Yeah.
Check it out. And now it's time to hear from you, missionaries, or your emails, as we like to call them.
Missives from the missionaries. So what else is going on, Lynn?
We have emails, Vincent.
Ooh, missives from the missionaries. Ooh. Missives from the missionaries.
Missives from the missionaries, Vincent. We have a little bit of a backlog, but they're all kind of interesting ones. So I pulled the most interesting ones for you.
All
right. We got an email from Anthony Davis.
Hey, what's up, Anthony?
Hey, guys, just writing to say that I know you two try to stay on task with what you have planned for the show, but your tangents about pop culture, especially the most recent one about top black sitcoms debate, are my favorite parts of the show. Oh. I love the rest of the show as well, but by all means, stay distracted. Much respect, Anthony Davis.
Well, Anthony, I don't think there's any danger of us not saying, "Ooh, squirrel." Thank you.
We have an email from Doc G.
Hey, what's up, Doc G?
Thank you for your review of Sinners.
Okay.
The movie was fantastic, and your review was equally entertaining and educational. You made a point of praising Michael B. Jordan for his work as twin brothers. Here's the question. What other actors did equally well playing as twins or multiple characters? Stay cool. Good doctor. Well,
do you want to say it or do you want me to say it? Because you know where I'm going directly to.
Let me say, I'll leave. I know where you're going.
Okay.
And I agree.
Okay, go ahead.
But I will say it's interesting that this came up because I tried to power through Alto Nights, which is a new film by Barry Levinson. It's just, I think it was in theaters for like a blink and a minute.
Okay.
That stars Robert De Niro playing two roles.
Right. How'd he do?
Oh my God. I tried. I gave that movie an hour and a half. It still had another hour to go.
Yeah.
And I could not. And this is no disrespect for Robert De Niro. His bona fides are set in stone. He's in the Hall of Fame if he never does anything else.
Yeah, which
is
an option.
Yes, it's always an option,
like
Robert.
Always, yeah.
But yeah, man, it is rough.
Yeah.
It is rough. I mean, he's trying to play two different characters, but they seem very much the same. He's an old man now, so they both are walking the same.
Sure.
I mean, the only saving grace is that it's not the Irishman.
Okay.
So he it's not any age stuff being done. So it's all makeup, but it's not.
Sure.
It's not fun. Sure. But on the other side of the coin, we have.
Oh, and I can't believe her name just slipped my mind. It's so funny. We were just talking about She-Hulk. What's her name?
Tatiana Maslany.
Maslany.
I think that's it. Yes.
Who played 6 or 7 different versions,
probably,
of a character in a show called Orphan Black.
Mm-hmm.
And it is remarkable. The conceit is that they are a bunch of clones, but each clone is so fully realized and so distinct. And then as the seasons go on, because of the plot, oftentimes they have to masquerade as each other. And you can always tell when one of them is pretending to be the other one, but it's the same actress.
It's the same actress. It's the same.
And I don't think anyone has ever come close to her performance in Orphan Black.
Not even close. Like you said, there are scenes where she is a character pretending to be another character talking to another character.
Right.
So I mean, it's absolute. There are moments on that show. How many seasons? Run about 5, 6 seasons?
I don't even know if it was that many.
Yeah, maybe about 5 seasons. And this is a Canadian show, so we're not talking about like
BBC, but yeah, it's Canadian.
Yeah, so we're not talking about like 22 episodes a season. We're talking about like 13 episodes a season. But there are times where there's like 15 minutes of the show, and it's just her talking to her, or her just acting,
or 4 of them in the room.
4 of them in the room.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, man! Like, yo.
Yeah.
It is absolutely ridiculous that I don't even think she was ever nominated for an Emmy.
Not only is that ridiculous, I don't think she's ever gotten the material she deserves since.
Oh, no. We were just talking about She-Hulk is okay.
Right, it's okay.
Yeah, and she was okay in, because she was in Perry Mason.
Yeah.
Remember the HBO show?
Right.
And she was okay in that too.
But I don't understand why they haven't built a show around her again. But that's our pick.
That is our pick. And there are other picks. There are some people do good. Eddie Murphy has done good work. There.
Yeah. We talked about it when we reviewed it. We love Eddie Murphy in
what, the spaceship?
Bowfinger.
Oh yeah, Bowfinger.
Yeah, we love him in Bowfinger.
It just dawned on me, Eddie Murphy's done it multiple times.
Yeah.
How many times?
Yeah.
So, like, there are lots of people who have done it, and they've done great work. Ain't nobody close to Tatiana. And shout out to Michael B. Jordan. Great work.
Yeah.
He ain't doing Tatiana Maslany. Orphan Black. If you haven't checked out Orphan Black.
Right. Even if you don't like science fiction. I mean, it's science fiction, just the conceit of it.
Right, the story.
But once you get over the conceit, it is just this amazing sort of character study.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, Orphan Black. It is. That's a good rewatch.
Yeah.
That's a good rewatch right there. All right. Thank you for that email.
Thank you, Doc. That was Doc G.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Doc
Doc G.
Good email. All right, we have. Let's see where else. I don't want to miss. I have them all starred, but I want to make sure that I'm getting everyone here. Okay, we got other people talking about Sinners here.
Okay,
we've got an email from our associate producer Mo Poplar.
Hey Mo,
Ashy feed himself. Them Sinners though. There is so much to say about this film. I love where Vincent was going in his review, but I think he got lost.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I mean,
it's not capitalism. It's not liquor. It's not sex. Vince didn't say it out loud, but the vampire offers them eternal life, power over white people. And 60 years later, Smoke says that's not freedom either. So profound. Obviously, there's so much more to say about this film, about the making, the choices, the cast, the wardrobe, the music. I love the scene in the car when Delta Slim starts telling his story and we get a mild level of sound design because he's a griot and he has the power to transport, to transcend. But then Sammy gets in his bag and we see an Omega level talent.
yeah.
I agree. Black Panther, Get Out, and Sinners tap into that Sammy talent. They transcend. They allow us to transcend. Now buckle up and get ready for the pale imitators. Let's stay on the journey, Mo P.
Oh, thank you, Maurice.
Appreciate you, my brother. Corey Nicole hits us up, Vincent.
Hey,
The
what's up,
blackest
Corey?
songs of all time.
Okay.
Greetings, Len, Vincent, and missionaries. 2 things to get out of the way is I watched Belly again this past weekend, and Nas' narration throughout the movie was unintentionally hilarious. 2, Len is such an Aries. God bless him. You know what? Somebody else said that, like, I met this couple this weekend. Just happenstance in New Jersey. Shout out to Gene and Donna of Maple Shade. And just talking to them, and Donna was like, I was just talking. And Donna just stopped. What sign are you? I said,
Right.
I'm an Aries. She's like, I knew it. I could tell you're such an Aries. I don't know what that means. I don't know what I was saying.
I don't know what that means either.
All I was doing was answering Gene's questions.
I will say this. My brother's an Aries. So maybe that's
Well,
why we get along.
your brother's a bad man.
Yeah, look.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Which brings to mind real quick.
Okay.
Anthony will love this. It's a tangent.
It's a tangent.
So
Aside.
Gene randomly asked me these questions. I just met him. We were standing in duo lines at the store, and he just randomly asked me a question. He said, asked me how old I was. He was like a year older. He asked me, so I'm asking you.
Okay.
Your favorite Saturday morning cartoon?
Of all time?
Yes.
I'm probably going to say Challenge of the Super Friends.
Okay. Good one.
Very specifically Challenge of the Super
Yes, because it's not
when
the
they,
Super Friends.
like when they opened it up.
Yes.
Right. And I'll fold that all the way to the Superpowers season.
Because it stayed open.
Because it stayed open.
Yes.
But does Bugs Bunny count?
It does, but I always feel like that's a bit of a cheat because they're the,
Right, but actually made for Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Challenge of the Super Friends.
Okay.
Final answer.
That's a good one. And you know what? That was mine as well.
Okay.
For the same reason.
Yeah.
When they opened it up. Okay. What was your favorite Saturday morning cereal?
My mother was real sometimey about cereal. Like every blue moon, some Cocoa Pebbles would show up.
Okay.
But my mother generally did not like the kids' cereals.
She didn't want to have them in the house.
Right. So the real go-to, and it remains my favorite cereal, is, sorry, but Raisin Bran. I know. Look, that's why. Look, I know. My mom didn't, and Raisin Bran was like the sweetest cereal in the house.
Oh my!
I know.
Oh my!
I know.
My mom would.
I did like Cocoa Pebbles a lot though when they showed up.
Cocoa Pebbles.
Cocoa Pebbles.
I did like Cocoa Pebbles too. I did like Cocoa Pebbles,
but I didn't like Cocoa Puffs.
I love Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah.
I did love Cocoa Puffs. My favorite was Peanut Butter Captain Crunch.
Okay, that's a solid one.
My sister's favorite.
The people love that.
My sister's favorite, if I remember, actually was. It may have been like all of the monster cereals. So the Count Chocula,
like
Frankenberry, Blueberry.
Yeah.
So my mom would buy one box of each.
Okay.
So she'd make Les choose one of the which one of the monster ones she wanted, which more often than not were the Count Chocula.
Sure.
Which I liked the chocolate, but I didn't like marshmallows.
You didn't like the marshmallows, and I mean, it's a weird thing.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
So I would order. I'd say, well, peanut butter Captain Crunch.
Sure.
But Les liked peanut butter Captain Crunch.
Yeah.
So Les would be eating the peanut butter Captain Crunch while I'm eating the peanut butter Captain Crunch, and then there's no more peanut butter Captain Crunch.
Sure.
And there's only Count Chocula.
Sure.
And she would eat that
And then
knowing I'm not going to eat it.
Yeah.
And my mom's not going to go food shopping again until all of the cereal's gone.
Right. I'm going to tell you, like I tell my children, you can put it in your memoir of Negro woe. Are we out of nakeds? Yeah. I think we're out of nakeds. We don't have any naked. No. You can put it in your memoir of Negro woe. And then, dear reader, there came a moment in my life, an epoch of sadness that it pains me to share with you even now. Lo, the cupboard was empty and there were no Pop-Tarts at all. The cupboard was as empty as my heart. Yeah, put in your memoir of Negro woe.
I'm going to continue with Corey's
Go
email. Since Juneteenth has passed, I wanted to ask you both, what are some of the blackest songs to have ever been made?
What is...
Wait a minute. The obvious are I'm Black and I'm Proud by James Brown.
Sure.
And Before I Let You Go by Maze featuring the late Frankie Beverly.
Sure.
Since he recently passed, a contender is Everybody Loves the Sunshine by Roy Ayers.
Yeah.
Another one is Optimistic by Sounds of Blackness,
Sure,
the unofficial Juneteenth Black Excellence Anthem.
Sure.
You guys can pick these songs within the States or throughout the diaspora. Can't wait to hear your results, and happy July. Excited for the new episode. Love always, Corey. See, okay. I'm Black and I'm Proud.
And then she opened up to the whole diaspora.
Right.
So now Fela Kuti and Bob Marley are looking at me.
Like, I'm Black and I'm Proud by James Brown. Okay.
Sure, it's right there.
I feel like she was going one way.
Yeah, and then she went the other way.
Then she went Before I Let You Go by Maze.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know now. Because when she said I'm Black and I'm Proud, I'm like, okay, well, then just the whole discography of Public Enemy.
Right.
Like, what are we? Why are we fighting here?
Right.
I don't know, the blackest song ever. Like, I don't know.
That's too big.
It's too big, Corey.
It's too big, Corey, because
it's too big.
Because now it's like, even if I said Young, Gifted, and Black, now Nina Simone and Aretha Franklin,
Strange Fruit,
and Donny Hathaway are fighting each other, and nobody wants that.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
Right. You see? Like I said, oh, well, I'll pick Young, Gifted, and Black. And then the voice in my head said, all right, smart guy, which one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't help.
Yeah, I don't. Let's go to another email.
Thank you, Corey.
We got an email from Joanne Blaylock.
Hey, what's up,
in regards to our Sinners review. Yeah. Good morning. I just finished the Sinners episode, and you two did not disappoint. This movie is a masterpiece. Your review was excellent. I will just add that Ryan Coogler loves Black people, and it really shows by how much thought and care he puts into the details. This may have been horror, but for me, this was Black joy via vampire movies. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you, Joanne.
Appreciate that. All right. And I think we've only got a few more for you, Vincent.
Okay.
We have an email from Nicholas.
Hey, what's up, Nick?
Greetings to the brothers Len and Vincent. This is a quick email. I need you both to help me decide which Black film to watch for my 100th episode of the Micheaux mission.
Okay.
I know I am new and a recent listener who has been listening to you all the while now, but I need your input. Side note, you guys talked about The Wiz being part of the Criterion Collection, and now it has been released and part of the collection. I was lucky to purchase it for my DVD set. I'm trying to hold off on the much bigger, popular black movies in which I will not name, but I have a few considerations. Malcolm X, American Gangster, Claudine, Coming to America, Shaft, or Superfly. Would love to hear your input, and I would write in to tell you my initial thoughts. Love always, and can't wait for the new episode. Nicholas. So what film would you recommend for Nick's 100th episode of the Micheaux mission? And I think he's looking for a good film.
Right.
Doesn't have to be a like digging in the crates cut, but he wants it to be a little. I was going to say, if he hasn't seen it already, Nothing But a Man.
I like Nothing.
Or Uptight.
Those are two I was going to go to.
I think those are good.
Like, I think those are good episodes.
Yeah, the good episodes to listen to as well.
Those are good episodes, and they're about films that you may or may not have seen.
Yeah.
So there you go. Nothing But a Man or Uptight.
Yeah, can't go wrong with no. And okay, Nothing But a Man or Uptight. Mm-hmm. Those are our selections. Yeah. However, if you haven't seen it, the Micheaux mission has recently declared, by request from a listener, that every black man should see Moonlight. Yeah. So if you have not seen Moonlight, Nicholas, that should be your 100th episode.
Yeah.
If you have, then you have Uptight or Nothing But a Man, both from the 60s to choose from. But if not, it's Moonlight. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. You know what? We need to start doing that, making sure whoever every black man that asks us for a recommendation, have you seen Moonlight?
Have you seen Moonlight?
And if you haven't,
I
don't want to hear from you until you do. And tell us that you did and tell us what you thought.
There'll be a quiz.
He's a professor. All right?
There'll be a quiz.
All right. Thank you, Nick, for the email, though.
Thank you, Nick. And thank you for joining. And
yeah. All right. We have two more, Vincent.
Okay.
This is Shauna Williams. Hey, Shantae Williams.
Hey, Shantae.
Hello, men of the Micheaux mission and missionaries. I haven't written in a while, but I am a longtime listener.
Thank you.
And a big fan of the show and your work. I always get a deep belly laugh when I listen on a regular, but the belly laughs get deeper when I hear Vincent trying to figure out who white actresses are, or when I hear Len, not always, but poorly explain to Vincent how he would know them if she was married to the dude with the wardrobe malfunction. Do you remember her name?
I was just, Shantae? I was just about to tell Shantae. I think I said it last week. Shantae, I am ruthless with scrubbing the hard drive. Ruthless. It is so much data up there. So I was just, we were talking about boys and hobbies and things, because I have a boy with, Adam is into Pokemon. And I was, saying, I think a lot of men, like the problem is a lot of men that their thing is sports. Mm-hmm. So we don't talk about the fact that there's something going on in your head that this stuff. But I was like, a lot of men, and I was like, I can list all of the members of the Avengers in order from when they joined the Avengers.
Probably with the issue number.
Right. Like there's the kind of stuff in my head. So I can't remember Jessica. Was it Jessica Bayou? Not Bayou. What was her name? Alba.
That was the one you had to find. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you thought that she was.
Yeah, Shantae, I can't.
You thought that she was Jessica Biel.
Sure. 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 Yeah, Nope. Only got so much room on there. So.
Shantae continues, I also want a side segment of Vincent telling us who the Kirkland brand of actors are compared to bigger names of better actors. Thank you for the laughs and the joy. This is my podcast, Shantae.
Oh, thank you, Shantae.
The Kirkland brand. Oh God. All right.
Which is actually unfair because the Kirkland brand is actually pretty good.
Look.
And that's all we're going to say. We ain't doing no free advertising for Costco. But yeah, the Kirkland brand oftentimes is not bad.
Don't get me talking about the chicken pot pie. All right. And our final email from Michael Lockett. Greetings, my brothers and fellow missionaries. I have been waiting for y'all to get to Sinners. This film is so good in every way. I believe it is a cultural touchstone and paradigm shift for the film industry. I say this not just because of the financial successes, despite the industry's rags showing their full asses.
Yes.
But because the backlash I am seeing to the other horror movies coming out in its wake. None of the horror films coming out now are even close to ruling the box office or sparking real conversation. Thank you for getting to this while it was still sizzling. The Wayback Machine took me to your review and a screening by me of Bright Road, which starred Dorothy Dandridge and one
Harry Belafonte. That's right.
Despite the bait and switch between the poster and the film regarding the wardrobe, I like this movie. The kids really did a great job, perhaps better than the adults. Like you two, I think this would have made a better pilot.
Yeah.
There is a backstory to be mined for all the characters, and watching the class progress through primary school could make for great storytelling. At a random dinner conversation with my family, I started down the rabbit hole of Saturday morning cartoons.
Okay.
And we're back.
And we're back to the cartoons.
And rattle off names of cartoons I religiously watched, and also some that I vaguely remember the name but have little context for the stories. Do either or both of you remember these?
Okay.
All right.
Here we go.
Hit me with each one, Vincent.
Okay.
Jana of the Jungle.
No.
I remember Jana of the Jungle.
Okay.
I do remember Jana of the Jungle. I believe it was a Filmation cartoon.
I don't remember that.
It was all right.
Okay.
Return to the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, yeah. I might have that.
I'm about to say, you have it.
I might have that on VHS.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what to say.
Yeah.
I do remember that, too.
Yeah. Another example of a show that was never as good as the opening credits.
Man, we could do a whole laundry list.
Like the
shows.
opening credits to Return are amazingly evocative.
Yes.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Speed Buggy.
Yeah.
I remember Speed Buggy. Definitely a ripoff of Scooby-Doo. These Are the Days. I remember that.
I don't know what that is.
I remember These Are the Days. If I may be confusing it. It's not Wait Till Your Father Gets Home, but I think These Are the Days.
These are cartoons?
It was a cartoon. I think These Are the Days. If I remember correctly, and I might be wrong, there was a cartoon that was set back in the Roman days. It was kind of trying to be like a Flintstones, but set in the Roman days. I think that is
feel
These
like I've
Are
seen
the Days.
an ad for that in like old comic books,
Yeah.
but I never actually saw
I
it.
think that's These Are the Days.
All right.
Valley of the Dinosaurs.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember that.
Goltar
and the Golden Lance.
I vaguely remember that.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I vaguely
at all.
remember that.
Well, the villain was voiced by Brock Peters.
Yeah.
I don't remember that one at all. Mm-hmm. The Groovy Ghoulies.
Yeah, I remember the Groovy Ghoulies.
I think I remember them. Yes, I do. I do remember the Groovy Ghoulies because they were also done by Filmation, and I think they crossed over at sometimes or merged shows with Archie.
Yeah.
And Around the World in 80 Days.
I remember that.
I don't remember Around the World in 80 Days.
It was like what was it called? The Wacky Racers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wacky Racers.
Yeah.
It was by the same company too.
I don't know if
That would've been
I don't know if
Hanna-Barbera.
it was by the same company, but it was the same sort of.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just remember Yogi's Space Ark. The Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Well, Yogi gathered up all the Hanna-Barbera people in an ark, and they went escaping pollution.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird.
Very.
It was weird.
It's very weird. All right.
All right.
There you go.
All right.
Well, thank you, Michael, for that.
Thank you, Michael.
Appreciate you. And that is our emails. If you want to have your thoughts shared here on the Micheaux Mission, please send us an email at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUX MISSION@gmail.com. And now it's time for the Game of Kings.
Game of Kings.
6 Degrees of Derville Martin.
Shantae, this is why I can't remember things.
6 Degrees of Derville Martin, where I give Vincent 2 actors, and he has 6 films or less to connect them to Derville Martin, the star of his own Saturday morning cartoon, In His Mind.
In His Mind. Days with Derville.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that.
All right.
All right.
It's claymation.
What, like the PJs?
Right. Like his mustache would twirl when he get excited.
Okay. I thought you were going to say he pulls things out of his mustache,
I'll take that.
like Felix the Cat.
I received that note.
All right.
Keep
it in theme.
Okay.
We're going to be reviewing One Down, Two to Go.
One down, 2 to go.
Which stars Fred Williamson, Richard Roundtree, and Jim Brown,
Yes.
and Jim Kelly.
Yes.
Blink and you'll miss him.
Well, we'll talk. We'll talk about all of that.
So keep it in the theme, Vincent.
Okay.
Connect Derville Martin to these other famous Jims.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
In 6 films or less, connect Derville Martin to
2.
Jim Belushi,
Oh, Jim Belushi.
brother of John Belushi.
Sure. Well, my Jim Belushi, my go-to for Jim Belushi is all right. So Derville Martin is, of course, in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier, who's in Uptown Saturday Night with Richard Pryor. And then Richard Pryor is in Moving with Jim Belushi. Pretty sure that's Jim Belushi who plays the neighbor.
Oh, I forgot about that. Let me just double check. As I go through his filmography, Jim Belushi is moving.
Is that him that plays the neighbor?
He's not coming up in Moving. No, he's not in Moving. Nope.
Who's that in Moving that plays the neighbor?
Let me look up Moving real quick, and I will tell you the movie.
Because you're right, it's not. That's, I forget what's his name.
Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid. So I knew it was a brother. Okay, so Jim Belushi is in,
That's not the, when you said your go-to, that wasn't what I was thinking. Now you're drawing a blank because you're seeing Randy Quaid.
I am.
Because if I could give you your go-to, but that would be a hard cheat.
Well, give me another one then, because now Randy Quaid is
Up in your head. All right, let me give you another. He was in.
Is he in like a basketball movie or something?
Maybe.
Yeah. Which, because it's basketball, has black people in it. Did you see what I was doing there?
Yeah, I see what you were.
Did you see what I was doing there?
He was in Wag the Dog.
Never saw Wag the Dog. Always forget who's in Wag the Dog. It's one of them early 90s movies that people were very sort of pompous and talked about. But
It's a good movie.
yeah.
He was also in Gang Related.
Oh, that's with Tupac and What's his name?
Jim Belushi.
No. But gang related, that's Tupac.
Jim Belushi is the star.
But that is Tupac, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So, hell, let's just use Tupac. Okay. So, D'Urville Martin is in Five on the Black Hand Side with Dick Anthony Williams. Dick Anthony Williams is in oh, well, I'll skip. I was going to say get to Queen Latifah, but I'll say he's in Mo Better Blues with Samuel L. Jackson, and Samuel L. Jackson is in Juice with Tupac.
Samuel Jackson's in Juice? Mm-hmm. Who's he in Juice?
Remember, he's a dude that knows everything? He's like the neighborhood dude who knows stuff. Remember when Q got the job, when Q got into the contest, and Samuel L. Jackson's character knew before he even left.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right, and I remember Martin's like, my God, I forgot he was even in this. Yes.
Right.
Yes,
and then
yes. Okay.
and then Tupac is in Gang Related with Jim Belushi.
Very good.
Yeah, what's my go-to with Jim Belushi?
Trading Places.
Who's he in Trading Places?
He's on the train. He meets them on the train.
Oh, that's right. Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, Jim Belushi. Yeah, I jammed myself up with Randy Quaid.
Yeah, because
Randy Quaid.
He's on.
Right. Famous Brothers.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well,
if Jim Belushi stumped you,
okay, who we got?
In 6 films or less, connect D'Urville Martin to Jim Caviezel.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah, he played white. He was White Jesus. He was in White Jesus snuff film. He's in White Jesus snuff film.
AKA, The Passion of the Christ.
Right. White Jesus snuff film. Oh, that's Mel Gibson, so it's probably not even any black people in that.
Well,
like usually they throw us a bone with Simon Peter. Like they always throw us the Simon Peter bone. Mel Gibson said, no blacks. Who else is in White Jesus snuff movie that I would know?
Honestly, I don't. That you would know?
Yeah. Like some like who the big like who plays like Peter or Mary or
Mary Magdalene.
Or Mary Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene is played by Monica Bellucci.
Okay, there you go.
And that is probably the only.
There you go. So Jim Caviezel is in White. Yeah, sure. Is in White Jesus snuff film with Monica Bellucci, and Monica Bellucci is in The Matrix Reloaded with let's say let's take the long. It's not even that long, but we'll say the long with Lawrence Fishburne.
Okay.
But Lawrence Fishburne is in The Color Purple with Margaret Avery.
He is.
Margaret Avery is in Scott Joplin, The Scourge of Syphilis with Billy D. Williams. And then Billy D. Williams is in The Final Come Down with D'Urville Martin. Remember, Scott Joplin created Ragtime, but also got the syphilis real bad. He had the syphilis real bad. It drove him crazy. He was like, do. I'm crazy. I got the syphilis.
Watch me now. All right. Very good. Very good.
Sure. Is there any black people in it? Like, I'm joking about Mel Gibson.
Passion of the Christ?
Yeah.
I don't. I don't believe.
Damn, Mel Gibson?
No.
Like, we couldn't be the Nubians? Remember the Nubians were in the Ten Commandments? They said, look, it's the Nubians.
Did they have any lines? I don't believe it.
No, they were just black dudes dressed up like they were in the Remember the Time video. And they march. They were marching. Like someone said, look, it's the Nubians. We couldn't even be the Nubians, Mel Gibson.
I think it was Edward G. Robinson that said that. Like, yeah, it's the Nubians, say.
Hey, it's the Nubians.
say.
Oh, they're so shiny and brown. Nah. Is there any baby oil left? They're so shiny. It's Woody Strode. His muscles are so defined. Yeah, see. I don't think Woody Strode is in.
No, he's not. He's not. They would have given him a line.
He would have said, I'm here with the Nubians. We couldn't even be the Nubians.
We couldn't even announce Moses.
Damn, Mel Gibson. Like, usually they have a black guy play Simon Peter. Like Sidney Poitier played him in something.
Look, everybody in this movie was beating up on Christ. Did you want to be a black person in there beating up on Jesus? Is that what you're saying?
All right. That's terrible, Mel Gibson. All right. Look, it's the Nubians. Even as a kid, I was like, why are we involved? Like, sometimes you don't even want us to be in it. Like, how we get pulled into this?
And so ends Anthony Davis' favorite moment of the show.
Right.
It is now time for our review.
Yeah, it is.
Of One Down, Two to Go. One Down, Two to Go. A 1982 American blaxploitation action drama written and directed by Fred Williamson and starring Williamson, along with his good friends Jim Brown, Richard Roundtree, and Jim Kelly. Mm-hmm. This is, in fact, the third film to star Williamson, Brown, and Kelly, following Three the Hard Way and Take a Hard Ride. Mm-hmm. Williamson, Brown, and Roundtree would reunite nearly 15 years later in Original Gangsters. Mm-hmm. In the film, Jim Kelly and Richard Roundtree as Chuck Wells and his partner Ralph Dart,
Chuck and Ralph,
are the owners of the International Martial Arts Dojo located in Los Angeles, where a martial arts tournament is taking place with a prize of $400,000. They had their best students enter the event, only to find out that it has been rigged and fixed against them. And then they run afoul of the mobsters who fixed the martial arts tournament. Why? Because.
Yeah.
And they have to call in their friends, Jay and Fred Williamson's character, Cal, Jay and Cal.
Sure.
To come
Chuck, Ralph, Jay, and Cal
to the rescues. Well, we know that white people didn't name these black people.
No.
We know that.
No.
In this film from 1982,
yeah,
that tries to bring the 70s energy into the 80s, along with 80s music provided by Stanley Clarke.
No, produced by Stanley Clarke.
Well,
he didn't actually make it.
Okay, well, he's produced it.
Okay, right. Right, and we talk about that.
Okay, what's the difference between producing the music and making them?
But like he didn't. That's not Stanley Clarke playing the guitar.
Okay,
all right.
So he just wrote the music. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it said music by the other guy, and then it said produced by Stanley Clarke. I don't know how much I want Stanley Clarke to be.
Stanley Clarke.
You've now triggered me with this Stanley Clarke slander. Hey.
It say produced.
Right. Stanley Clarke. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All I did was open the studio.
Right.
I did my man a salad.
I did my man a solid.
And opened the studio.
Right.
So y'all can make music here.
Right.
That was it. I was with the Brothers Johnson.
Yeah.
This is Vincent's selection.
It is.
For tonight's stop on the Micheaux mission.
It is.
Vincent, what say you of One Down, Two to Go?
Well, as you all can probably intuit, this is not a film that is that good. And certainly we will spend a bit of time talking about all of the challenges that this film has. But frankly, I think the only thing you really need to know about this film is, as Lynn said, this is a film that came out in 1982, but more specifically, it premiered on November 11th, 1982. And I think it is very important to include the month and date that this movie appeared, because less than a month later, on December 8th, 1982, 48 Hours came out.
Okay, wait a minute. When did you say it debuted?
November 11th.
And you said less than a month later on
December 8th.
December 8th. Okay, I thought you said okay.
December 8th, 48 Hours. And I think that is super important because, as we all know, 48 Hours is the film debut of Eddie Murphy.
Yep.
And this is the dawn of Eddie Murphy's era. Mm-hmm. And you know, as you mentioned, I think what this film wanted to do was channel that blaxploitation energy that made certainly all three of these men stars, and arguably Jim Brown as well.
Okay.
Well, you know, we've talked about it before. We think Jim Brown actually didn't necessarily need blaxploitation, but certainly he was pulled into its orbit.
Okay.
And by the time the 70s ended, he was more known as a blaxploitation hero. And I think one of the many aspects of Eddie Murphy's genius is that, especially these early years, is that he synthesized a lot of that blaxploitation energy.
Yep.
Into a way that was more palatable, more polished, more Eddie Murphy. And you can almost put these films side by side and see how one works and one doesn't. As you said, this plot about these two characters who own a kung fu dojo and they have this kung fu tournament and they get cheated, and then they need to figure out how to get the money. It's barely a plot. You know, this is written and directed by Fred Williamson, and you would think after his last attempts at directing, specifically Adios Amigo, Fred Williamson would know this is not his strength. This is not his strength. But I think Fred Williamson is blinded.
Yes.
By this blaxploitation era persona that these four actors have. The film begins with Jim Kelly investigating. He goes in and, you know, ends up having a conflict. And I actually put in my notes, this is one of Jim Kelly's patented action sequences that my partner loves so much. It is lethargic.
God.
It is slow, which is another word for lethargic. It is without passion, and
or skill.
Without skill. I mean, there are no martial artists. Like Jim Kelly is there for persona. Like the argument is that Jim Kelly has this persona, and Jim Kelly has you know, I don't think he's ever been charismatic.
No.
But I think Jim Kelly always looked the part. But by 1982, he's a little older. He has old man at the club energy. And he's almost immediately taken off the board.
Almost immediately. I don't think the movie's 15 minutes old. He's out.
Richard Roundtree plays his partner, and I have to say, Richard Roundtree has always been more charisma in more looks than acting.
Mm-hmm.
I think the charisma has come out the most in Shaft because he's being directed by Gordon Parks.
Yep.
And the script of Shaft, and you've got this amazingly nuanced character of Shaft. We're going to talk about Shaft's big score next week.
Yes, we are.
I recall really liking Shaft's big score. I haven't seen it in years, though. And then Shaft in Africa is sort of befuddling. You can tell that the well is running dry.
Right.
But there's no charisma here at all. Still a good-looking guy. But it's a different energy. Mm-hmm. I think the appeal of Richard Roundtree in the 70s, he's this young, virile man, and there's this energy. Where here, and I don't know if he's 40 yet, but this is in your 30s, in the 70s, in your 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes off as an older man.
Yep.
He comes off as almost a businessman, and without proper direction, he just walks back and forth. And once you get past, well, this is a good-looking guy, there's nothing else there. One of the more puzzling decisions that Fred Williamson makes in a film that is billed as this joining of these great blaxploitation forces.
Here you go.
Jim Brown and Fred Williamson don't even come into the movie. This movie is a little under an hour and a half. It is right at the 40-minute mark before Jim Brown and Fred Williamson even come into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And much like Kelly and Roundtree, I think Fred Williamson thinks that their personas, their charisma, their bearing can carry more of the weight of this film than it can in 1982. By 1982, Jim Brown, who has always been a fairly stoic figure,
yes,
but once again, this sheer power, oftentimes this sexual power, oftentimes just this sheer machismo, that stoic works, especially if it is being directed by a competent director. Jim Brown just seems tired and disengaged. And, you joked about Stanley Clark doing someone a solid. That is the feeling I got from Jim Brown. Where I got from Jim Brown, I'm really doing him a solid. I think Jim Kelly, Richard Roundtree, there's not a lot there anyway. Jim Brown, I always championed Jim Brown as an actor, like just his skill. Like we've talked about Jim Brown several times on the show, and I think Jim Brown has skill. I think 1982, again, he's a little older, and I think he's just done. I always got the sense Jim Brown was ambivalent about this whole blaxploitation thing.
Me too.
Like, I'm going to go along with it. I done got pulled into its orbit, but this is, like, I'm not going to carry the banner for this.
This ain't like, oh, I got the...
Right, like, we'll get to Fred Williamson. Fred Williamson famously has had very public comments about both I'm Gonna Get You Sucker and Black Dynamite, where he talks about how disrespectful it is and this, that, and the other. Fred Williamson always took this period a lot more seriously than other actors did. And Jim Brown, I think it's worth pointing out, along with Antonio Fargas, are the only quote-unquote blaxploitation stars who were in I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. So, Jim Brown, all right, fine. And then you have Fred Williamson. And I think to kind of land where I started, I think Fred Williamson is really blinded by who he thinks he is. And whether we're talking about Black Caesar, whether we're talking about Hell Up in Harlem, whether we're talking about appropriate enough, Three the Hard Way. I think when Fred Williamson works, he works well. In those three films that I just named, I think his charisma comes through. I think he's having a good time. I think he's in the spirit of the thing. But once again, this is 1982. He's a little older. He's still kind of doing the same shtick that he was doing in 1973. And it reads old.
Yep.
So these four men who, again, are only together, I think, for one scene, all four of them, at the end.
Yeah. You're right. It's at the very end.
It is badly directed. The script is barely a script. No one involved seems like they want to be there of the main cast. Anyone outside of these four seem like day players. Like every single actor in this film could have been one of the actors in Dolomite or The Human Tornado. You know, just sort of day actors. And I kind of felt sad.
Yeah.
By the end, like I was hoping it'd be like a Lion in Winter type thing. Look, I love these dudes. So, and you see the cover and they real. You're like, wow. So maybe they're a little older, but they'll show. And I seem to remember liking Original Gangsters as much as you like something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I was just really sad by the end, and I really did feel like you were watching four dinosaurs falling into the tar pit. While a small mammal named Eddie Murphy was in the trees watching them.
That's very apt, imagery that you're painting right there. It's what I was stuck on was Richard Roundtree, because I agree, and we've talked about it. Richard Roundtree, he has the look. Great looking man, has the charisma, but for whatever reason, maybe it's not given the work to show off more acting skill. He's never shown a whole lot of acting skill to me.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's fair.
And seeing him in this film, he's definitely trying to channel his Shaft.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have Gordon Parks framing that camera.
How about that?
Framing that picture. He doesn't have Gordon Parks making sure that, you know what? Let's tighten this wardrobe up a little bit. I know this is in the 82, but you could still look a little sharp, right? Because it would have been nice to see, because Jim Brown, I almost get the idea that Jim Brown said, no, I'm going to wear my suit.
Well, I think he just showed up.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Even though the story is that Fred Williamson tried to pitch this movie to Warner Brothers. They said no. He eventually got somebody to back him to do the film. But his whole idea was to get all of these guys together because he wasn't seeing them in movies anymore. What Fred Williamson, you talk about, smelling yourself. What was lost on Fred Williamson is that his star that shined in 1973, in 1974, 75, 76, in the heart of blaxploitation, it's not so much that those films were great pieces of cinema, because none of them really were. But he did have enough of a presence that he looked great on that big screen. But the other thing that he and all of these guys had going for them was, at that time, there was very little representation of the Black experience on the small screen.
How about that?
At home.
How about that?
So by the time you get to 1982, there's not a lot more Black shows out there, but there are more.
Sure.
And we're seeing Black life being represented more, at least a little bit more fully on the screen, because by then the blaxploitation films have kind of like morphed out of like, you know, the Man type of movies, and they're more like loosely like the Dolomite films. Yeah. They're more comedic. Do you have the sitcoms on TV? By 1982, you've already had The White Shadow has come and gone from TV.
Yeah,
and The White Shadow had like this diaspora of black youths on that show, right? You've already had, you know, Freddie Boom Boom Washington on TV. You've already had the rise of Lou Gossett Jr.'s rising up. You know, Sidney Poitier's making a bit of a return, right? So when Fred Williamson says, "Oh, these guys haven't been seen in the films anymore," that's because the films have passed him by.
I mean, Penitentiary is 1979.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And we're not even touching on Richard Pryor is blowing up at this. This is the prime Richard Pryor time.
Well, part of the reason that 48 Hours had gotten bumped is because I forget what film it is.
It's one of the Richard Pryor movies.
One of the Richard Pryor movies had come out.
Yeah, and they didn't want to go up against it.
So right.
But Fred Williamson, he's got blinders on.
Yeah.
He doesn't see it. And so much so, unfortunately, you know, he's a bit of a name. So if he's going to write a movie, he's going to direct it. Okay, we'll give you some money to make it. Go ahead and make your movie.
Right.
You know, go ahead. You got your guys there,
right.
And you've got you got your boys there, and you've got Chi-Chi from The Godfather. That's basically who else. There's nobody else in this film of note at all. Go ahead, Fred. Have fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's basically what he does. And that's why Jim Brown is like, by this point, Richard Roundtree, the person I feel sad for is Richard Roundtree. I feel just like you, Jim Brown is either doing Fred Williamson a solid, or he's doing Jim Kelly and Richard Roundtree a solid, knowing that this film doesn't get made if I'm not at least there as well. Right? So that's why Jim Brown is doing it. Because I feel by then, Jim Brown, he's kind of already moved on.
Yeah.
He's already had 10,000 things else going on.
Absolutely.
He's moving more into his activist type of realm. You know, he's trying to rewrite his narrative because, you know, he's got a troubled narrative himself that he's fighting. So I don't feel sad for him. Jim Kelly, you say he's got presence. I'm sure he has presence for his kids, but I don't think he has presence on the film. I never felt Jim Kelly. I think the best he has ever looked was in Enter the Dragon, and he is the worst part of Enter the Dragon.
Right.
So, and he is definitely the worst part of this film. First of all, you are the kung fu guy, and you show up in the film in a leather outfit. How do you expect to showcase yourself? Because nobody else is giving you a check, Jim Kelly.
Look.
Nobody else is putting the camera in front of you.
Look.
How do you expect to show them that you still got the chops if in your action scene, you are going to be fighting in a leather jacket and leather pants?
4 dudes who work on the dock at the local Safeway.
Exactly.
Like, you're not even fighting.
No, you're not even fighting kung fu people. You're fighting 4 dockmen, and you are kicking them in the thigh. He is kicking. You know, he maybe only reaches up as high as a calf.
Why can't he lift his leg higher?
Because he got them heavy ass boots on. Why he got heavy red boots on, Vincent?
It's almost like he didn't know there was going to be kung fu.
Oh, you want me to fight?
I can't. You know what? I wanna pull from, but you're like, dude, you the kung fu dude,
kung fu guy.
Like, this why you're here,
and they set you up. They don't even have you. The movie opens, like you said, at a kung fu tournament. You see all these young kids doing, you know, youngsters doing kung fu. People doing like, you know, high kicks in the air and everything like that. He ain't fighting them. He fighting the extras from Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah,
and he cannot get them down
Yeah.
at all.
Look.
I swear, Vincent, one of the guys, he steps on his foot.
Look.
And that's the reason why he takes the dude out.
Are a Jim Kelly hater, but I can't even.
You can't defend it.
I can't.
So the person I feel sad for, and Fred Williamson, he's smoking whatever. And he's walking through the movie smoking it.
Yeah.
So the person I feel sad for is Richard Roundtree. Because I want to believe that Richard Roundtree is a victim of just never getting the opportunity.
Sure.
Say what you want about Jim Brown once he gets in blaxploitation. We've seen Jim Brown with good scripts.
Yeah.
And he can work himself with a good script. He gets into the blaxploitation, he's making money.
Jim Brown has a couple of good good appearances in the 90s.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
I mean, he's in She Hate Me, which is a highly flawed film.
Yes.
But he's good in it. He's in Any Given Sunday.
Yep.
And I think he's legitimately funny. And I'm going to get you sucker.
He is.
Yeah.
Well, by then he's known how to play against type.
Yeah.
But the person I feel sorry for is Richard Roundtree because I don't think he's ever gotten this opportunity. He never got the opportunity. I think that if the Shaft TV series, if that had lasted maybe 2 seasons, I think by then he might have been able to show a little bit more chops because they would have had the room to really expand on the character at least a little bit more.
I have no real memory of the Shaft TV series.
I vaguely remember watching it in my mom's room and it being on TV on like a Monday or Tuesday.
And my plan is to try and watch at least a couple of episodes before next week.
Well, there's only been a couple of episodes. I don't think it lasted.
It didn't even last. I
don't think it lasted the full season.
Right.
But I think that was his opportunity. And then unfortunately he gets he gets typecast.
Yeah.
And I don't think he really had the opportunity to show his true worth.
Well, I hear you. I think the problem is, and I think you talking about the work that actors are doing on television is a good one. I think once you start moving into the 80s, you've got, now you're going up against a young Blair Underwood. Now you're going up against Michael Cooper. Now you're going up against a young man who I think had a real future in the business named Denzel Washington. Like Howard Rollins. Like the entire cast.
Lawrence Fishburne's coming up.
Right, the entire cast of A Soldier Story.
Yeah, yeah.
Now you're sitting in the room going against them. And much like you, I like Richard Roundtree, but Richard Roundtree has never been, I mean, he comes from the world of modeling. Like that's actually wasn't.
That was his thing.
So,
right.
if we're just. If
Richard Roundtree is no Lou Gossett Jr.
Right. Like we're hiring actors now.
Yep.
So.
And I think that ultimately is the failing of this movie. I mean, look, it's a cartoon movie. Like, Fred Williamson and Jim Brown are walking around once again, as they did in 3 the Hard Way.
Yeah.
With the most extraordinary bullets I have ever seen.
Yeah.
I've never known bullets that can literally explode cars.
Yeah.
And set people on fire.
But you know what? You're calling it a cartoon. I don't think that's fair to cartoons. This is the slowest moving.
Oh my God, you're right.
There is so much walking back and forth, characters trying to discover information that as the viewer, we've known for 50 minutes, telephone conversations, filling out of paperwork. Like, I was watching it going, you know what? We all talk about the 5 Deadly Venoms.
Yeah.
When's the last time you watched the 5 Deadly Venoms?
It's been a little bit.
It is a surprising amount of people giving scrolls back and forth to each other in the 5 Deadly Venoms.
I do remember the last time I watched it, it's like, taking a little longer than I remember.
It's a lot of meetings in the 5 Deadly Venoms. don't remember so many legal pads being involved in the five.
Back and forth.
A lot of back and I just came from a meeting.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
I just spoke to the High Council, and they gave me this message. And then, like, a dude unfurls a scroll. I'm like,
Take this to the council.
Right. I've not seen a Venom in 15 minutes.
You're right.
And I actually put in my notes, this is moving like the 5 deadly Venoms, and not in a good way. I need to know whose name was on the contract, which is an actual line that Jim Brown says to the bank vice president.
Yes.
So, once again, now we're back to the directing in the script. Like you're saying, it's a cartoon. So many of the blaxploitation films are cartoons. There's a MacGuffin,
yes,
and then you know it's a car chase and it's back and forth. Like there are cars driving back and forth. Like they're not even car chases.
We are in one car as it goes, rides up on a taxi, and then follows it off the exit.
Follows it. The village ombudsman has a scroll for you, and he unfoils the scroll. Yes. Yeah, it's not good, and it made me sad.
It's not a good movie. It's a black film.
I mean, it's definitely a black film. You kind of. I've never seen the second film that the three of them made.
Oh,
you named it.
Yeah, not Three the Hard Way. It was Three the Hard Way and
A rough ride, a hard ride.
Take a Hard Ride.
Take a hard ride.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, well, I am kind of curious.
Well, now,
about this sort of.
I'm looking at that film though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in it a little bit.
Okay.
Only because it's from '75.
Okay.
It's listed as a spaghetti western.
I was about to say it sounds like a western.
And it stars, Fred Williamson, Jim Kelly, and Jim Brown, but also Lee Van Cleef.
Okay.
I like Lee Van Cleef.
Director, writer?
Anthony Dawson.
Not familiar.
Not familiar with the name, but okay. He's Italian though, because Anthony Dawson is actually
interesting.
His true name is Antonio Margaretti.
Interesting.
Yes, and his
but Richard Roundtree's not in that.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. I'm trying to connect the tissue. Could have the connective tissue next week, but this sounds like a much more interesting film already.
This does sound like a more interesting film.
And I like the 2 Nigger Charlie movies that Fred Williamson makes with our patron saint, D'Urville Martin. Mm-hmm. Like they're fun.
Fred Williamson, he has charisma.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just not a director because his wardrobe, notwithstanding in this film, because he believes he has the world's greatest chest, and the world must see it.
Dude, he's the old guy in the club. Like I really am. Like, what are you?
He is the oldest nigga.
Like, what are you doing right now?
He is the oldest nigga in the club.
Yeah, I see y'all like to. Let's do the.
Notice, because he's the only one that you see get out of a car and he's got 3 women in the car with him.
Which is charming in Through the Hard Way.
But not 1982?
1982.
With your painted on mustache?
Right.
Come on, man.
Right.
Come on,
go
dog.
fool around and get a sore.
See, but if he had a director.
Right, they would tell him, this doesn't read the way you think it reads.
Yeah, you're not pulling this off.
Yeah.
You're not pulling this off, bro. All right.
Yeah.
Would you recommend One Down, two to go?
I would not. Not even as a curio. Not even as a curio. I think this is an interesting moment, that transitional moment. But I think that there are examples of films that there's more meat on the bone than this. So no, I would not.
Me neither. Would not recommend this. For all of the reasons that we've put out there, plus this one. There is a scene
Okay.
where Fred Williamson as Cal goes to talks to one of the trainers at the Kung Fu dojo.
Right, the dojo, I believe, is what they're called.
Right. And he, takes dude down and like, get some information from him with a stick.
Yeah, stick.
And this big Curly Howard looking dude comes up behind him, scruffs him up by the neck.
Like Meatball. I thought it was Meatball for a second.
I actually thought it was Butterbean, the boxer.
I'm sorry, I meant Butterbean.
I thought it was Butterbean.
Yeah, I thought, yeah.
But he comes, scruffs him up by the neck, and Fred Williamson gets to drop on him with the world's largest gun.
Right.
Well, second only to Jim Brown's gun.
Yeah.
And makes him drop him, and Fred Williamson walks out off the scene.
After he drops the best line in the movie, though, you may be good at Kung Fu, but I'm good at gun fu. Like, you could tell he was so proud of himself that he wrote that.
Yes. Yes. No, I'm going to say that line.
Yeah.
So then he walks out. Beat later, this little shaggy dog comes sashaying around the corner.
Right.
Sits down and growls at the Curly Howard character.
Yeah.
We've never seen this dog before in the entire film.
Lynn, I paused the film and felt bad. I said, have I paid so little attention that I missed the introduction of the dog?
No.
But I had not.
You had not.
Yeah.
And you have not seen the dog's best work. Because now that happens in the middle of the film.
The dog vanishes from the film.
Totally vanishes.
No
we
more
don't know
dog.
where the dog come from. Apparently at the dojo.
It's a dojo dog, or perhaps a ghost.
Perhaps. Mm-hmm. Cut to the end of the film.
End of the film.
And our four heroes, for the first time,
in
share
the entire,
a scene.
I thought maybe somebody didn't like somebody.
Jim Kelly can be in the movies, but he can't be in any scenes with me.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
So our four heroes share one scene. It looks like it may be a hospital room.
Yeah, I think it's
because there are girls outside of their hospital door who
trying to get in. Because they're so sexy. They're not trying too hard at all. It's
not at all to open the door.
It's not a sad moment in the film at all.
But the dog returns.
Now the dog is back.
The dog is back.
The dog is back.
Why? Because
I'm going with this a ghost.
Okay.
So
maybe it's Casper.
I've decided
because this dog pulls the curtain.
Yeah.
On the girls.
Yeah.
So that they can't see into the hospital room.
Yeah.
Then the dog hops up on a chair.
Yeah. And
where Fred Williamson gives him one of his cigarellos.
Yeah.
At this point, Richard Roundtree says something. I can't remember what he said.
I don't know. He's trying to talk them into a new caper.
No, yes. He's talking them into a new case.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we just heard from somebody and they've offered us $10 million.
Right.
At which point the camera cuts to the dog and subtitles say what? I paused the film and talked to the invisible Vincent in my room and said, does this dog have captions?
Yeah. That was a choice. that was a choice for the end of the film.
That's how the film ends.
And now the film is off.
Now the film is off. The dog has the last line of the movie.
Yeah. Smoking the cigarello. Maybe they thought he was going to spin off into his own thing. Be just like Benji, baby. I don't know if that's what Fred Williamson sounded like when he was pitching this to Saul. I feel like his money man is named Saul. Saul, we gonna have a spinoff with the dog. Gonna be just like Benji, baby.
Black Benji.
Black Benji.
Rated R.
Yeah, rated R.
I can't do my head on Caesar. Yeah. All right, that's one down, two to go.
But the dog does not save the film.
No.
The dog does not save the film.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Perhaps they sprinkled in a little bit more Black Benji. Maybe that would have
Benji,
saved it, but no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Before we tell you about what we're going to be reviewing and our very special guests next week.
Yeah.
Here on the Micheaux Mission, I invite you to share all of your thoughts about One Down, Two to Go. And please, anything else you want to talk about, email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUX, MISSION@gmail.com. The Micheaux Mission is available on all the social media of your choice, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads at Micheaux Mission. The Micheaux Mission is also available on the podcast catcher of your choice. You can catch us on Apple. You can catch us on Spotify. Wherever you catch podcasts, you can catch the Micheaux Mission, which is also available on YouTube, where you can subscribe, hit the bell, be notified of where we go live every Tuesday night, 7 p.m., right here at Young Chunk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace. If you want to book yourself in one of the lovely studios that they have here, then you need to go to youngjunk.com. That's YUNKJUNK.com. The Micheaux Mission is also a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. They make podcasts work, such as ours, which will be returning next week. Vince already told you. We're going back to the world of Richard Roundtree in the role that made him famous. We've already did Shaft. Well, now it's time for Shaft's Big Score.
Shaft's Big Score.
And in this summer of comics, who else to join us for our review of Shaft's Big Score than a man who has literally written the origin story of Shaft in comic book form. He is an award-winning comic book writer.
Oh, my goodness.
A dream guest of both of ours, but especially Vincent.
Absolutely.
Especially Vincent.
Yeah.
Next week, writer David F. Walker joins us here on the Micheaux Mission to review Shaft's Big Score.
Look, we will talk about this next week. I always liked Shaft, but I never really got Shaft. David Walker made me understand.
He absolutely
the Shaft thing. So very, very much looking forward to this.
Next week here on the Micheaux Mission. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting, we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.
Young John!